Hey man, say man, this is the A-Man Show back at it again for more content. In this video, I want to make a definitive list on who is the 10 best players in the NBA. This is the first time in my channel that I'm making a video on the top 10 players. I was originally going to make another ranking series on each position, but obviously it didn't do too well in my older videos, so I'm just going to go straight into the top 10 overall players in the NBA. Note, injured players, for example, Jason Tatum, Tyrese Halliburton, Damian Lillard will be excluded out of the list. So without further ado, let's rank the top 10 players in this league. So kicking off with the number 10 spot on the list, I have Kawhi Leonard. The guy is 34 years old, and in the latter years of his prime, he is still a great, efficient offensive player and good defensive player in this league. The guy averaged 22 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists on 50, 41, and 81 splits. He is still one of the best overall shooters in this league and very skilled multi-level scorer who is a master at getting at his spots. Although he only played 33 games because of load management and gotten worse on defense due to the injuries he sustained over the years, and that's the reason he's ranked lower in this list. But the dude obviously has something left in the tank, especially what he did in the first round against the Nuggets, where he averaged 25 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, on 54% from the field, 41% from 3, and 78% from the free throw line. He is still a borderline superstar player and a future Hall of Famer, and I believe going into the 26th season, he will have his last ever superstar level year with the Clippers, because I do see him taking a downward decline as he ages. Next up on the list, I have Kevin Durant in my number 9 spot. KD definitely dropped over the years because of lack of playoff success and underwhelming playoff performances, but still, KD remains as one of the league's elite scorers and has consistently shot 50, 40, 90 splits. A 3-level scorer, and he has improved as a playmaker to the point that he can run the offense, and as well as making solid reads pretty consistently in a decent defender. Now with Houston, I do see him thriving a lot as a scorer and playmaker, more with actual defenders around him and great finishers such as Amen Thompson and Alfred Sengun, and spacers such as Fred VanVleet and Jabari Smith Jr., and now reuniting with his old coach in Ime Udoka, running this high-paced, unselfish offense along with a scrappy but calculated defense. I would not be surprised if he rose up to the rankings after this upcoming season, especially if he leads H-Town to a championship and wins Finals MVP. So Kevin Durant at the number 9 spot in my list. At the number 8 spot on the list, I have Stephen Curry. Curry has noticeably declined last season, especially with the much needed defensive attention that he attracted because the team struggled to draw fouls, let alone get to the rim. But ever since the Warriors traded for Jimmy Butler, they were one of the league leaders in foul baiting, which opens up the offense a lot. After the Butler trade, Curry averaged 27 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists on near 50, 40, 90 splits, and he took down the second-seeded Rockets in 7 games, and hadn't he gotten injured in that Minnesota series, they definitely had a chance to make it interesting. Now, I don't think the Warriors would have actually beat the Timberwolves because they have the better player on the list along with a deeper team, but it would have been a lot closer. Curry's longevity has been really underrated. The guy averaged over 25 points per game on near 50, 40, 90 splits for almost a decade, even at 37. His off-ball movement warps defenses more than anyone else in the league, not just in this league right now, but in league history. And he has been a solid defensive player still at age 37. Overall, he is still a dominant point guard with or without a ball in his hands. Coming in at the number 7 spot, I have LeBron James. It is still polarizing that this man is still a top 10 player in the league at 40. I don't think we'll ever see this level of consistency, let alone longevity, ever again. This man is still averaging 24 points along with 8 rebounds and 8 assists, and shot 51, 37, and 78 shooting splits. The guy still is one of the best passers in the league and a well-established 3-level scorer along with elite efficiency. Still, there's not much I can say about this guy other than, will this be the last season of his career? Because recently he opted in to his $50 million player option, which is uncharacteristic seeing how in his storied career where he always declines his player option sign another 2-year contract. I still think that he will continue to be an all NBA player. And low-key, if he actually announces that this will be the last season of his career, then I'm gonna cry my eyes out. No, I'm just fucking with y'all. But back to the top. I really don't see him declining to the point that he is simply a role player. He's going to continue to be that efficient 25-point scorer, an elite playmaker, let alone a top 7 player in this league. At the number 6 spot, I have Luka Doncic. Now, I know that Luka is lower on the list because the guy struggled with injuries last season. Despite that, he still averaged an efficient 28 per game while giving you 8 rebounds and dimes. He is still a first team all NBA caliber player, but really the real reason I have him lower on the list is his playoff performance against the Timberwolves. Doncic has really struggled with turnovers, and also most importantly, his defense has been horrible. He is a defensive liability, and Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards were having a field day when guarded by Doncic. I still think that Doncic is one of the best offensive players in the NBA, but his defense and turnover issues, especially in the playoffs, not just this Timberwolves series, but in the 24 finals where he was just getting picked apart defensively and averaging 4 or more turnovers per game, is where I can't really put him in the top 5 until he cleans this up. How can you win a championship if you can't play defense and take care of the basketball? It's just not going to work out if you're the best player on this team. With these struggles, I do think that Luka is becoming overrated, and that's why I have him at the number 6 spot on my list. Now, kicking off with the top 5, I have Jalen Brunson. Ever since he landed in New York, he has been on a tear, so much so that he actually took this team to their first conference finals appearance since 2000. The guy has been a consistent and efficient 27 points per game scorer for the past 2 seasons. One of the smoothest and crafty players in the NBA, and he has consistently elevated his play in the postseason, averaging in the near 30s per game while giving you 7 assists along with his elite efficiency. Although his defense has been really exploitable at times, especially in that Indiana series, but he wasn't so much of a defensive liability compared to Luka Doncic. He's still a solid enough defender that you can rely on him to be a championship level first option. Not only that, he has been one of the better playmakers in the league while keeping a low turnover percentage, and he has been one of the most clutch players in the NBA, and not just the leading contributor to multiple comeback wins, especially against that Celtics team that won 61 games and were the defending champions, but there were times where he single-handedly carried this roster to victory. He is going down as one of the greatest players in Knicks franchise history, and he has a perfect opportunity to lead this Knicks roster to their first ever finals appearance since 1999. Coming in at the number 4 spot, I have Anthony Edwards. This guy has been getting better and better every single year, and get this, he's not even in his prime yet. Last season, he had one of the highest percentages from the 3-point line while attempting 11 threes per game, shooting 40% from the arc while averaging 28 points per game, 6 rebounds and 5 assists per game on solid overall efficiency. Not only he is a multi-level scorer and an elite slasher to the rim, but he has improved as a facilitator and he plays defense at a high level. Not only he is consistently putting up MVP level numbers for 2 straight seasons, but he also elevates his game to new heights. Firstly, he takes down KD, Jokic, LeBron, and Luka in the playoffs within that span of 2 years, while averaging 27, 7, and 6 on 47, 38, and 77 shooting splits. Not only that, but this dude took this once sorry franchise to back-to-back conference finals appearances in which Kevin Garnett never done. He is undoubtedly the best player at his position, and he's one of the best shooters in the league and has improved as a facilitator. He may not be the face yet, but he is not far from being in that level. He is for sure going to be in the running for the MVP this coming 26 season. Now we're in the top 3, and I have Giannis Antetokounmpo. Ever since 2018, he has been one of the most dominant players in NBA history. He is the second best power forward of all time, and he has consistently averaged 29 or more points along with 10 or more rebounds and 5 or more assists on 59% shooting from the field. And get this, he also developed into one of the best mid-range shooters in the NBA, shooting 48% from the mid-range area, and he is still an all defensive level player and consistently been in the top 5 in MVP voting every year since 2019. Giannis' peak is up there with the likes of Hakeem, Jokic, and despite him not having that much success since winning a title back in 21, we can't deny the level of consistency that this dude is putting in and day out, and I don't see him slowing down anytime soon. At the number 2 spot, I have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The dude put up one of the greatest individual seasons in NBA history. He led the league in scoring while giving you 5 rebounds and 7 assists per game while shooting nearly 50-40-90 splits. He also led the Thunder to a franchise record 68 wins and 1 MVP, and in the playoffs, 1 Western Conference Finals MVP and Finals MVP while averaging the same numbers as he did in his MVP season. The dude absolutely eclipsed KD as the best player in this franchise history and already put himself in the conversations as a top 10 point guard in league history, or even shooting guard in history if you're classifying him as a shooting guard. Either way, SGA has already established himself as an all-time great with this all-time great 25 season, and also he has consistently averaged 30 or more points on elite efficiency for 3 straight seasons in a row, and he has the chance to really put himself in the conversation as a top 15 player of all time if he goes back-to-back in MVPs and championships as well. I really don't mind if one of y'all rank SGA as the best player in the league, but this guy above him has done more individually than him, which is why at the number 1 spot I have Nikola Jokic. Jokic is simply having one of the greatest offensive peaks we will ever see. Last season was the pinnacle of his offensive peak. A 30-point triple-double on near 50-40-90 splits is unheard of, and despite the in and out lineups with Murray, Gordon, and MPJ, and with no legitimate depth, he still managed to take this roster to a top 3 seed in the Western Conference and took the eventual champions, the OKC Thunder, to 7 games in the second round. With Jokic on the floor, the Nuggets posted an absurd plus 24 points per 100 possessions, the greatest all-time single-season differential ever. We will probably never see a player like Jokic again, a center that impacts the team around this massively, especially on the offensive side of the ball, and not an elite defender per se, but a very smart defender. And with that historic season, he is for sure a top 10 center of all time, undisputedly. And now he has legitimate help for him to win another championship. And if he gets through this deep of the Western Conference and wins another championship and Finals MVP, then we have to start putting him in the conversations of a top 10 player of all time. So far, Jokic is still the best player in the NBA, number 1 on my list. And that's the video. Let me know in the comment section below about the rankings, and be sure to subscribe to the channel for more NBA content. It makes a big difference. And also turn on post notifications. And that is all. Stay litty. This is the A-Man Show. Signing out.